Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and we are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, enjoying coffee, which is arguably the best coffee in Uganda, while we have a chat about serious men issues. Now, tonight, we're going to go a bit heavy. We're going to talk about postpartum depression. Yes, I'm sure a lot of you out there don't know what postpartum depression is, but today is the day when you get schooled. Now, luckily, we have our resident psychiatrist, Dr. Hilary. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter.
Here. And one of the reasons why it's good to have you here is because the only Jaluo needs to see a psychiatrist. So
why do you think you need to see a psychiatrist?
It's the opinion out there, you know.
Yes.
So, but by the end of the show, we'll know. But the viewers will be the ones to tell us whether you do need one or you don't.
Probably he'll be pleased.
Yes. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, doctor.
Yes.
First and foremost, because a lot of people don't know what postpartum depression is. What is postpartum depression?
Thank you, Peter. I'm glad that you bring up this topic. I've been watching your programs. I think you're bringing mental health into perspective, and it's very good. Very many people out there are suffering from depression, but they don't understand. So I am glad that you bring up this topic. Postpartum depression. One, you have to understand what is depression, what is postpartum. Postpartum relates to after birth. There are three words: antepartum, peripartum, postpartum. Antepartum, you have had women going for antenatal. That is before birth. So that is that period before birth. Peripartum is that period, I think, from labor to delivery. When the lady is wheeled out of the labor suit. Yes. Now, postpartum is that period when the woman has given birth and is recovering. In mental health, we take it from 1 day to about 3 months, sometimes 6 months. Yes, depends on which psychiatrist you're talking to, but the general rule is 3 to 6 months. Now, that period is what you call postpartum period. So the depression, I think you have talked about depression before. So it's you have described the symptoms of depression. I think we shall maybe go through them. It's now the depression that it develops in the postpartum period.
Okay, now, can men suffer from postpartum depression?
Oh,
or
yes.
is it only women? Because
yes.
a lot of people think that is something that is strictly, it's only women who suffer from it.
Yes, men do suffer from postpartum depression. It has a term, paternal postpartum depression. Women is maternal postpartum depression. However, previously it was known that the mental illnesses in general that develop in the postpartum period are distinct from the general mental illnesses. However, of recent research has shown that they are actually on the same. All mental illnesses are on what you call a continuum. Developing one mental illness will not prevent you from developing another mental illness. So all mental illnesses are on a continuum. So of recent, the term we use is the general diagnosis of like depression. So we put what we call a specifier of postpartum onset. So it's a general depression that develops in that period of postpartum. Yes, and men do suffer from it.
Very serious insights.
Oh, yes.
Stefan, you look shell-shocked.
Yeah, I'm not shell-shocked.
I think before Stefan comes in, the good doctor here, Hilary, should tell us maybe just an overview of the symptoms of depression in general. Yes, so that we can link up with our previous shows.
Okay. Generally, there is no difference in the symptomatology of depression of postpartum onset and the depression that we suffer in general. However, in postpartum, there are different classes, I would say. There's what called postpartum blues, and then the depression per se.
The reality.
Exactly. Now, postpartum blues are also symptoms. Now, in women, like 85% of women suffer from postpartum blues.
Yeah.
If men too suffer from postpartum blues. I haven't come with the statistics of the men that suffer. However, the symptoms of postpartum blues are simple. It's like mild depression, anger, irritability, anxiety, aggressiveness,
Yes.
you know, mildly.
Yeah.
You know, when a child is born, you're happy. You're generally happy, you're welcoming a band of joy
In the hospital.
in the hospital. But exactly.
The child comes home.
The child comes home is a different story.
But these symptoms usually develop like a day or two and then peak in around 4 weeks' time. You know, these depression symptoms usually develop or start with the first pregnancy.
Okay. Yeah.
Always the first birth now. We're talking about postpartum now.
Yes.
With the first birth. So you have been, you know, a bachelor or, you know.
You have your
You know,
space.
I feel like they're talking about me.
I think Dr. now we can pause
I'm
there.
so related.
Time for him to bring in Jalu.
I'm
Because
so
Jalu,
related.
yes, tell us, Jalu.
You know, it's actually good that we're talking about this because I feel like because of patriarchy, you know, it's not something that men
can
are,
talk
you know,
about, yeah.
men can talk about. It's not something that we can suffer because of that conditioning, but it's real. Even when you plan for this child, it's real. Like I remember, I'll give you a personal story. I remember on the day of the birth, I'm seated with I'm seated with my woman, and the mother is there, and then they ask her, who do you want to go with you to the delivery room? And I thought, I never prepared myself. I'd never at any one point had I prepared myself that, you know, I'd be in the room with her. And then she says, it is you. And just by saying, I was scared. I remember they gave me the blue gown.
Yeah.
And
What was scary? Why would you?
you know, it's a new thing. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
you're not
it's a
prepared
new
for
thing.
this.
Okay.
We don't get our fathers, you know, sitting us down and telling us that this is what will happen, this is what you're supposed to do. It happens, and you know they say that you need to be a man. So I entered the room, and it was C-section. Now C-section, you're supposed to, they kept telling me, talk to her. Talk to her. She's holding my hand so tight.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I'll say this on TV, it's an experience I'll never forget. I remember when the
For
baby
right
was
reasons or
born.
the wrong reasons?
And you know, someone should have prepared me. When they told me, the baby is here, take a picture, I stood up.
Yeah.
When I stood up, I saw her intestines.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that has never left my brain. I have never recovered. And you know, I honestly love this because like it's real.
It is.
Even there's an episode of a famous TV series called I can't remember the name, and where this guy says that getting a kid, there's a difference between getting a kid and taking the kid home. That you're used to.
Let me ask. So what was your issue? Was it that you were scared? You're just never going to look at your woman the same way again, or is it the baby? Because
I didn't think I was scared, but the pictures never left my brain.
Yeah.
It is something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Even the whole process on the first night, she didn't go to. Ugandans have this culture where the kids go to the parents. Yeah.
Yeah, you go for your
Mother-in-law's
mother to
place,
take, to take care of you. Yeah.
The baby slept at my place on the first night.
Oh, you went home with the baby
We
alone?
went home with the baby alone, and I've never been so confused.
Oh, come on. But how is the baby supposed to feed?
No,
I think Jalu has mentioned two things. And as a social worker, I think I will begin from the first. Preparation. Now, the doctor maybe may agree or disagree. The health service preparation of the process of pregnancy is that more preparation is on the woman.
Yeah.
Okay, but because also for us in the Ugandan context, culturally, once the woman is pregnant, it's a business of the woman. The man, you are busy doing other things until the child arrives.
Yeah.
So you plant the seed, then you wait for the child. The rest of the business, cultural, is not yours. So now, in the modern medical setting, we have kind of also moved with the same context. You know, the mother goes for antenatal care.
She goes alone.
Alone,
yeah.
But these days they encourage.
Yeah, they encourage.
We encourage fathers to come, but few come. So when it comes to the experience of giving birth and being a father, you find that the mother is more prepared than the father. The other thing you said, the experience of you know, looking at your woman and seeing the intestines has never left your mind. Now, I think, doctor, that's what we call trauma.
Yeah.
Now, trauma is an event that you experience and is long-lasting. The memory, you know, the psychiatrists, I think, say you have a scar. You have a scar, a permanent image of that you saw.
You don't look at your woman the same.
Yes.
Now, you look at
Doctor here talked about the statistics. I did look at some of the statistics. They said for first-time fathers, normally ranges between 5 and 25. There are some situations where it is more, and there are some situations where it is less. But actually, it is a real problem, and of course, there are many factors that drive it.
But I'd like to know, you know, Banji, you've talked about the importance of going for antenatal care. But does that psychologically prepare you for the fact that there's another human being coming in? And I think it's also got a lot to do with space, because now you're sharing. You talked about the man being a bachelor. All of a sudden, he's not only sharing his space, the house has not grown bigger, but there's another being. And it's interesting when you see a child going home. This is a tiny thing. It's just a few kilos. But the luggage it goes with, okay. So on day one, it's moving in with so much,
yes,
you know.
so much, yes.
So all of a sudden, you start struggling to accommodate it. Now, you might be able to accommodate it physically, but what about on the
mental, psychological?
Yes, the psychological, yes. Because now, when you look at it, maybe I can use two concepts. There's the concept of demands. Because I think from the labor suit, they start asking you, bring this, bring that, bring this.
You keep running to that store. What's the name of that store?
Yes, you keep running to the canteen, the hospital canteen. Bring this, bring Pampers, bring this. And you are like, oh my God, now meanwhile your wallet is getting dry.
It is expensive.
So the demands. Then when the child finally comes home, the child is crying. You are not sleeping.
And I have to talk about the Ugandan culture, and I find it the whole idea of going back home, I find it very ridiculous. You know, the whole idea of her going back home so that, you know, she gets schooled. All that time, I spent money. You know, every time you visit the family, you have to part with some money. And it was so ridiculous to me. It was expensive.
I'll tell you what. I think that one is on you, because you have the ability to say
no. Come on.
Now we are here at Inspire Africa, talking about men and postpartum depression. And now we have to get into a break. Don't forget, this is your show. Go to our Facebook page, like it. Let's engage in this discussion there. Also, our Twitter handle is NTV MEN UG. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we're here at Inspire Africa Coffee, enjoying a nice hot cup of coffee and bringing to you the show that lights up your Wednesday night. Now, tonight we are talking about postpartum depression, especially where men are concerned, because a lot of people out there think that it's only women who suffer from postpartum depression. But we have news for you. Men also do. Now, some of them, like Stefan here, put themselves in a situation where they get depressed.
I didn't put myself in a situation, Peter.
Because I would say, I stand to be corrected.
Before you come in, I was still explaining two things. And because one caught on him, he jumped in. I was explaining from the point of demands. You know, as a social worker, I think that one is close to me. Now, demands, so I was explaining, you reach home, now you are not sleeping. Okay? Sometimes probably you didn't buy the baby crib. So they are sharing with you the bed, which again the good doctor here discourages because it can lead to infant
death,
death.
Yes.
It's actually very discouraged for you to share a bed with a child, a newly born,
At all, you're not supposed to.
You are not supposed to.
The child should sleep in
but
his
you
own
must
room from
understand
day
the
one.
economy in which you operate also.
You know, you're talking like a European. We live in houses that are 2 bedrooms, my friend.
Yes, put the baby in the sitting room.
Jaluo, that was number one. The second one, which depresses men, is the loss. Now, let me explain the loss. The child is a band of joy. That is right. But there is loss. Now, the quality time you are having with madam, all of a sudden, it has gone to the child.
Yes.
Now, some men also think that when this woman has given birth, now in the other department, there is a darkness for some time. So the man feels lost, he feels lonely. No,
But you know.
seriously, the man, and you see, that's why you will find that some of these guys, because they feel lost, they end up going to a bar to be with friends, so that when they come home,
It's actually encouraged.
they just sleep.
No, Peter.
The depression is therefore anxiety sets in, stress sets in, fatigue sets in, which drives you to a depressive state. Am I right, good doctor?
However, just before doctor you come in, I need to just say something. You see, we're making men look like victims here. Okay. First of all, a man has the ability to say no. You don't have pressure from relatives and all that. Number 2, no baby falls through the roof. You have 9 good months.
You cannot prepare for this baby, my friend. Let me
You've
tell
got 9
you
good
what.
months to prepare.
I prepared.
Yes, you need to have a list. But what usually happens with most people is we think 9 months is a long time. Okay. Then all of a sudden, when your wife is telling you, "Oh, I think it's time," you start panicking. That's when you now look at your wallet, like you say. You go in, you're told, "Okay, get this," you run out, you get that. If you plan for these things early, it's much more affordable and you can save yourself a lot of stress. The
Peter,
issue
can
of
I rebut on
sharing
this?
a room, just 1 second, the issue about sharing a room. Why do you share a room with your child? First of all, psychologically, it's not good for the child. You don't encourage the child to be dependent. Independent, sorry. Because it always knows its parents are there. And then you won't sleep. This thing of saying there are no rooms, it doesn't matter. There are people with houses with 10 rooms, they still sleep with their child.
You know, you're talking like a rich man. Let me try and explain something. There's never been a time in history where men are hands-on like right now. Men are very hands-on right now. I carried that baby at night and try to make him sleep. The things that they did not tell me is some of the psychological, the irritations. We didn't prepare ourselves for that.
Yes,
the small irritations. For example, she wants to sleep. He wants to sleep. You've been carrying that baby, and babies are heavy. You've been carrying that baby. You're carrying. It's not interesting. It's not interesting.
What I want to put across is depression knows no financial status, knows no culture, knows no educational status. Wherever you are, whoever you are, you can get depression. What my friend here describes is one part of what of a 3-part causal mechanism. What we call it biopsychosocial causes. We have biological, psychological, and social. What he described as a sociologist is the social causes. Now, for us, we combine the 3. There is no one single factor that will cause the depression. There has to be a combination of all the 3. Biological. 1, we have to know that maternal postpartum depression is one of the leading factors that will lead to paternal postpartum depression. That is one aspect.
So you can actually be depressed throughout the entire period.
Exactly. But depression has a time frame. We cannot diagnose you with a depression before maybe 2 weeks. So it has to be in a 2-week period. Now, there are different signs and symptoms of depression that will occur during that period. You identify them. They may not be severe, but when they persist for 2 weeks or more, then you know there's a depression. These are the symptoms: lack of sleep, He talked about the baby crying insistently. He went with the baby. He didn't know what to do. The mother is in the hospital. You are at home with the baby. What are you going to do? What do you know?
No. The mother was at home. The mother was at home.
But you know, you said it was a cesarean section.
Yeah, it was a cesarean section.
She's in pain. You have to help out. But before, maybe now, a few companies give paternal leave.
4 days. Let me tell you what.
4 days.
And you know, it's nothing.
I know some.
And I wanted to talk about that. And you know, and it's partly the reason why, you know, I'm insisting that, you know, when you look at depression, especially on the guy's perspective, you know, society looks at it like nothing. Like they give you 4 days. You're supposed to go to work, and you come back to the same noise.
Yeah.
The woman is still very weak. Whether normal delivery or cesarean, that period, the woman is still weak. She needs sleep. She needs to take care of the baby. You have to help him.
Yeah, to help her recover.
Now, that period of helping in, you don't know what to do. The mother, probably the first baby, doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So you're all angazi.
That's why she goes to stay with your mother-in-law, and then you don't want her to go.
But you know this. Oh yeah, it's.
But you see, also going to the mother-in-law also again will cause loss, because we are talking about paternal postpartum depression. So now I've moved from that border district. I have come to Kampala. I have met my beautiful woman in Kampala here. She's been expecting 9 months. She's given birth. Probably she comes from another extreme side of the border. So after giving birth, she goes and stays with the mother. Now I remain alone in the house. Do you know the loss I will feel? I will feel lonely. I don't know how to cook.
Finances.
I even don't know where the salt for the house is. And remember, I have to keep supporting the other family financially because my child has gone there.
Your people.
So
not your child.
either way, I will feel the stress, the strain, which will depend on my coping mechanisms. For me, what is my mental strength? And then the challenge we have, of course, they say in Uganda, we say you're a man. Manage that thing. There is no one you'll go to and you say, my friend, this thing of having a child is killing me.
Peter, I'll give you a very funny example.
Just a minute, Jalu. People will ask you, Jalu, what are you talking about? Go and manage, you're a man. They think that men were like armored vehicles, you know, fighting protesters on the street. No, we are human beings. So we end up suffering. And by the way, by the time the doctor sees the symptoms,
you've gone through hell.
We have gone through trouble.
But you see, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
To help the people out there to understand these symptoms.
Yes.
Know that help is out there.
Yes.
You just know where to seek it.
Yes.
Now, of course, that is also another challenge here.
Where do you find help?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very few psychiatrists. Everyone, when you talk about mental health, they think about Butabi.
Yes.
There is a connotation,
There's a stigma.
whether positive or negative, related to Butabika. But when you reach there, you find that it's one of the best places that you can actually be with. One of the cleanest hospitals, one of the most welcoming places. But again, not every mental illness goes to Butabika.
I remember when things had not worked out for a very long time. You know, after C-section, they tell you to wait before engaging in coitus.
Yeah.
And you know, some of these people, you
Not
know,
only after C-section.
After
childbirth, they tell you you're supposed to wait, but you do not know when to actually resume. So I remember I asked someone, and this person told me, Stefan, you just have to jump in. And you know, it's good that you're talking about some of these avenues. You know, most men don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. But isn't it
guys
about
cannot just walk in?
Communication? I mean, you should be able to communicate with your spouse, and so that she knows you can't just jump in. I mean, that's you cause problems for yourself.
No, medically there's a timeline.
Yes.
Like for a normal delivery, we say at least 6 weeks. Cesarean section, because that area was not touched, the timeline might be different. There are women who heal faster. The whole issue is about the comfort of the woman. Now, there's also the wound. Is it healed enough to sustain the pressure and the friction that might arise from there? Sometimes you may jump in like your friend advised, and then you cause a tear. The wound opens up. So when it is not healed properly, then it takes longer to heal. But for a normal delivery, we recommend about 6 weeks.
And doctor, I have a question.
Yes.
Don't you think that, and it's something that has just come, that as men we pretend a lot during that time?
It's not pretense.
It's Let me
Because
give you
you
an
don't know
example
what
of
to do.
pretense. Let me give you an example of pretense. You know, when women gain that baby fat, for
Yes.
example, and you know, she'll ask you a question for you. You know, she'll ask you, "How am I looking?"
Oh my God.
It's advisable.
myself
And let me tell you one thing. Please, ladies, don't ask your husband
Don't
that
ask
question.
me that question
Because
I
the
will
guy will
lie.
say you look fine. He doesn't want to hurt your feelings. But actually, and that's part
And
of
you know, we walk on eggshells.
yes, and that's part of the
lot.
losses that I explained. You know, we were married. Probably you were a model kind of size. You give birth, you have to take a lot of food to produce milk.
Look like a
Then
small
all of a sudden,
Look like a small
now you
elephant.
stand in front of me. I'm like, Vanang, will I manage this? So that's part of the depression. But I want to quickly tackle some of the telltale signs.
Yes.
Maybe you will add there.
Yes.
Because you may find that at the beginning, the father is interested in the child. But all of a sudden, they lose interest.
Yes.
So why is the father losing interest? It could be a sign. Probably now the father is engaging in reckless behavior. He wasn't drinking, and all of a sudden, he drinks. He wasn't coming home late, all of a sudden, he comes home late.
I think a lot of
You
women
know,
would
it's,
take
it's
that as
actually
an
encouraged
excuse.
culturally. Some cultures encourage men to mingle with
Other men.
with other men during that time. So what am I doing with other men? I'm drinking.
But you see, it also depends on your culture, your upbringing, and your environment. We tend to, for me, I can't say I'm not educated. I'm an educated person. I have traveled the world, so I know what is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
I'll try to do that. But you see, when your behavior changes, it's not that because of the childbirth, there is a reason behind.
Yeah.
So when you come to us, we try to understand the reasons behind.
Yeah.
They may be subconscious. They may not be obvious to you.
Yeah.
But we try to understand them, and then we help you from that angle. He says you lose, that space. That's true. But again, the changes that occur when the child is there, they're enormous. Insistent crying, you're not having enough sleep, the work is demanding, probably you haven't even got paternal leave. The mother is also angry, probably has maternal blues or depression, is demanding, the child is demanding, you don't know what to do. The mother is going to look at you, the husband.
So you figure it out. Yeah.
You will look at you, please help me out. But you don't know what to do. And these are things.
I carried the baby for 9 months.
The child is crying non-stop. You can't put her on the breast. You can't feed her on the bottle. You just have to
To walk around.
walk around.
Walk around,
But the
yeah.
child is not
In the
sleeping.
meantime, Arsenal is beating Man U.
Exactly.
And you can't
Sometimes
watch.
you lose even attention. You're looking onto the screen. Meanwhile, you're holding the baby in a wrong position.
Yes,
The father is saying, please hold the baby properly. You come back to your senses. But you know all those changes, you're not prepared for them. They don't prepare you for these things during antenatal, whether you go with your woman or not. These are things they don't tell you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to know them. But how do you know them? This is your first child.
Yeah.
At work, they are demanding. Financially, as Jalo was saying,
Because
they are
the baby
demanding.
is there.
Yes.
Now you're,
But you also feel like the space is gone.
Yeah.
The freedom is gone. What do? You start avoiding home.
Yeah.
Okay, let me work a little bit more. Let me stay in the office a little bit more. Now, like I said, this depression knows no background.
Yeah.
It will affect you. The man I come from Kisoro. So the man in Kisoro who goes daily to the garden, in the evening will come back. Okay, let me go and meet my friend there on the bar. He will stay there. He'll come back
hoping
thinking.
to find them asleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what does he do when he's there? He's a little bit
Drinking.
drinking
Yes,
a little more, sometimes smoking, talking, maybe even when you're meeting with your friends, you may not talk about these things. As men, you want to be macho.
Yeah.
You're still, maybe people congratulating you, oh, now you're a man. welcome to the club. But you know what's happening at home. You're not sleeping. You're not feeding properly. Sometimes the maid is feeding you. But the space is gone.
Yes. And sometimes if you're also unlucky and you come from two social families, your house is also crowded.
But I was about
crowded. The house is crowded. Yes. Your in-laws, her in-laws, friends. Then you come, you like your house quiet. You come, there is nothing quiet in your house. You are like, oh God. The fridge, you stock the fridge. You go to pick there a fruit, it is empty. You are like, now I'm finished. And people are saying, congratulations. Congratulations.
So the wife is shouting at you, you're shouting at her, you're shouting at the child, you start hating the child. This was a band of joy.
This is the source of all my problems.
Your environment.
We will talk about that as soon as we get back from the break. Now, we're here at Inspire Africa Coffee talking about paternal postpartum depression. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. If you've just joined us, you've missed 3/4 of your life because we're in the last segment of the show. NTV MEN UG is our Twitter handle. Let's get in there. Let's get this conversation going. A lot of good things going on there. Now, before we went into the break, Banji was all excited. I must just emphasize one thing. Now, a lot of people don't know that when you get a baby, people say, oh, it's you, your wife, and the child. Wrong. It's you, the wife, the child, and the maid. Who's there throughout? So she eats more than anybody in the house, and you're going to be in trouble. However, again, you must be in control as a man.
No, that's a statement that you keep pushing around.
That's a fallacy. You need to be in control.
When you say the man has to be in control, control what? Using what?
Let me give you an example about the housemaid scenario. Most of the time when most bachelors out there, you live your life like you're alone in the house. We never think about maids. Now when the kid comes, there is the maid factor. I have never looked for maids like I've looked for maids at that time.
But why are you looking for a maid? It's the woman's job.
Listen, that is supposed to be apparently a woman's job. But anyone knows, anyone that has raised a kid, is that you can get a maid today, and she doesn't fit the she's gone. You get another one, she's gone. You cannot say that a guy can be in control. By the way, I'm a foreigner. I looked for maids. It's not easy, my friend.
Yes, and you see, again, I'm an educationist. I think you are. When people say that our education system in Uganda is not addressing the needs of the country, this is what they are talking about. Because previously, when you give birth, you would expect your relatives to come and help. But now you're staying alone. You look for professional maids, they are nowhere to be seen. But I'm just giving that one for policy makers. However, when you talk about being in control, because this depressive state, my friend, it will affect your thoughts.
Yes.
How do you think? You'll start saying now, this madam, she's too busy with this child. She's, first of all, also she pushed.
Maybe she doesn't like me. She doesn't love me anymore.
But I'm also not sure whether the other department is the way he left it. Then, as you are passing on the street, you see this other girl who has no what? Issues.
She's still brand new.
She's still brand new. Then you are like, oh God, thanks for bringing this gift before me. Because I want to assure men out there that ladies have accused men that this is the time when men cheat. And the men cheat not because they are doing it intentionally. They are doing it because...
Are you speaking for the men?
Or for yourself?
For himself.
I'm saying ladies have said. Okay? Ladies have said.
But you're speaking on your own behalf.
I am speaking this as a service provider. I am speaking this as a social worker.
I understand.
And I'm speaking this as a man who has grown up in the Ugandan community. Yes. So I have heard, I have seen, I have observed. Because the man feels that now this woman has a lot of what? Baggage, has a lot of problems. Let me go and look for safety somewhere. In fact, they are worsening the situation.
True.
They are worsening. So And sometimes when the ladies also complain, it's not because they want to complain, they are actually practically tired.
Yes, that's true.
They are tired, especially if it is the first child. They also don't know what to do. So you have to figure it out together.
There's another, there's a research that stipulates that men are more hands-on when the baby looks like them. You understand? Like men are more
psychological reaction.
hands-on. So you get a baby, and you're looking at this baby, and this ninja does not look like you.
You see, your eyes see what you want them to
Yeah,
see.
Yes.
It's very hard to tell in your net that he looks like me, that he looks like me.
Now, can I
Babies
tell you-
change
yeah,
with
can
the
I
time.
tell you that
But Jalo is correct. Jalo is dark
This
skin.
is
You're
research.
mistaking people.
Jalo, if the child comes back and is looking brown like doctor, you will say,
Okay, and the kid looks like you.
Okay, let me tell you
I
what.
don't know, man.
I agree with the good doctor here. Let me tell you about the power of the mind. Do you know that, for example, if you are thinking about buying a car, all of a sudden you start seeing the cars
Yes.
around. That happens.
yes.
Same thing also. The moment people tell you, oh, this child looks exactly like you, you start seeing, oh yeah, actually the kid looks like me.
Exactly. Yes.
But those ones who, when your friends come and they whisper and they tell you, between the two of
God.
us, huh,
Yes.
That kid is
even
too
if the
brown.
child looks exactly like you, you will not see it. You know?
See, yes, you're right. We talk about thoughts. In mental health, we usually talk about thoughts. And these thoughts are automatic.
Yeah.
These thoughts are sometimes, or most times, negative. Those are the ones that determine how you feel. We call them intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
They come out of nowhere. But it depends on the situation you're in. So once you're in this situation, you're looking at things, she's not paying attention to me, she's paying attention to the baby. As Banji said, I don't have my space. Then you start looking, I'm spending too much. You start thinking, am I really in the right situation? Then once you think about that, these are intrusive, these are negative, these are automatic. You have no control over them. It's because of the situation you're in. Then they modify your feelings. You start feeling angry. You start feeling worried about where the next ZK is coming from. You start thinking, well, really? You start thinking about the work. Am I performing properly? Then your behavior changes. You start being distant. You start hating the mother, the child. You start hating the relatives. You start hating the maid. We also have what you call body reaction. Sometimes you can get headaches. You can get abdominal pains. You can get pain anywhere.
You can even get skin rash by the way.
And when you get those ones, they increase
so
on the
possible.
thoughts you have. So it is a cycle.
Actually,
I don't want you when you get a rash. Try and
we
convince
have
her you
even
get
we
it
have
somewhere
even
else.
seen that when a man is really so, I don't know whether stressed or depressed, the man falls sick.
Yes.
The man develops
Yes.
malaria. The man develops diarrhea.
You
The
come to
man-
hospital, we check everything,
Yes,
nothing.
But the man is fit because the man is scared.
Yes.
I don't want to mention
Fear,
this word on TV.
anxiety.
He's scared to the death.
Yes.
And now the behavior normally is what the other people will see.
Exactly.
Because the thoughts that the good doctor has explained, plus the feelings are internal.
Yes.
You know, you see the woman, you feel negative, but the behavior, because the behavior is the reaction to the thoughts that
It's what
was,
you project
Yes, it's what
to
you
them.
project, it's what the people see. They call you and say, come and eat lunch. You put on your plate and you run to the bedroom. Now, if you are lucky and you have another bedroom, because you see, as Jaluo said, Igaga, you thought that every person who has given birth has 10 bedrooms.
No, I didn't
Some
say
people, they just either put just a
Where
curtain,
does this man live?
a curtain in between. The chairs are here. Some people even don't
The
have a
accommodation
curtain.
I
in
agree,
Kampala
I
is
The
agree.
two
bed,
bedrooms.
the bed serves as the chairs, as the saucepans are put under the bed. They are also there. So now the man is saying, now all my poverty all of a sudden is being seen,
exposed.
exposed because
Yes.
of this child. You know,
Yes.
and you know. let
And
me tell
babies
you- let-
expose your poverty.
And let me tell you this,
Babies
Igaga.
really
Sometimes
exposed.
sometimes because some people plan,
Yeah.
okay, because some people plan
Yes.
for their children.
But you see,
In,
you plan
in
physical
Uganda,
things.
in Uganda also, many of the children are a consequence of enjoyment.
Yes, yeah, but you've got 9 months.
No.
Anyway,
Now, the 9 months, my friend.
Yeah.
One time my brother told me that you can never borrow money to get your woman out of hospital when she has given birth. He said actually you are the worst husband. But actually every husband be preparing and says, next month I will be ready.
And they're preparing, and you know what's funny? The preparing most of the time is on the man.
because
woman.
she's carried.
It's on the woman.
Yeah, it's on the woman. You
And
know,
it's on the physical things. No one prepares you mentally.
The psychological.
What you're going to
yes.
expect. And every parent, all parents, actually experience parenthood differently.
Yeah.
It sometimes depends on where you come from.
Yeah.
If you saw your father being involved, you will definitely
You'll
be involved.
yeah.
If your father was distant, you tend to be distant.
Yeah, because that's
So
how you were
actually,
raised.
he as fathers, we tend, as he said, we are now more practical.
Yeah.
But it's because we see we are more exposed.
yeah, more exposed. Yeah.
We are more exposed. But someone down there maybe doesn't even care
Yeah.
whether a child was born or not. I think that's what culture dictates. In some areas, that once a woman gives birth, you go to your mother, looks after you,
Yeah, until you're
2-3
ready.
months down the road, then
You
you
come
come back.
back.
Yeah. I think maybe that's why
He would have liked
You know, it
No,
happens.
no, I have in the interest of time, because we're running short of time. So we now know what the issue is. We know what the causes are. How do men out there handle?
Okay, thank you again. One, we may have an idea, but there are cardinal symptoms of depression. Like we said, whether paternal postpartum depression or not, the symptoms are almost the same. Here, just because the trigger or what we call the precipitating factor is
The baby.
the pregnancy or the birth.
Yeah.
So, but the cardinal signs and symptoms, one, there is sadness, almost the whole day, almost every day for about 2 weeks. There is loss of interest in the things you used to enjoy before. There is hopelessness. We call these guilty thoughts.
Yeah.
Hopelessness, helplessness. There is loss of concentration. You're conversing with but you know your mind is somehow disorganized.
Yeah.
You can't perform at work. Your mind is disorganized. There is a appetite. Appetite changes, whether it is a loss of increased appetite or reduced appetite. There is sleep disturbance. You can't sleep enough. You're probably sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
You wake up, you don't feel rested enough. You probably go to bed, you spend 3-4 hours without sleeping, or you wake up like 2 or 3 hours before your usual time.
Yeah.
There is also what you call psychomotor retardation or agitation. You're restless. Yeah? You're moving up and down. These are things that we see in people.
Yeah.
But because we can't put 1 and 2 together, then we can't understand. Then there is also one cardinal sign that you feel like your life is not worth living anymore. You get those what we call suicidal ideas or ideation. Sometimes you may not go on and carry it out, but you have them.
Yeah.
So we classify it and we diagnose depression, whether of postpartum onset or otherwise.
Yeah.
But it is. Now, once you understand these are happening to many of us here. Depression is one of the most common mental illnesses. Now, how do you get help? One is to know. Once you know what you're going through, and you put away this macho thing, I'm a man, I don't talk about issues. Help
Pointing at me.
is for everyone.
You're the one who's been pushing that
It
phrase
is
the
an
whole-
illness.
So sure.
Seeking help doesn't demean you as a man. It doesn't take away your manly duties.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is understanding that, like I have malaria, I have to go and to hospital, they check me. When you feel awkward like that, seek help.
Yeah.
The problem is, where do you seek help?
Yeah.
At the moment, there are many areas. As if you check in like Kampala Mental Health Clinic, you'll find it. Once you seek psychiatrist, I think online you can find so many other people. But again, there's a Butabika hospital. Come, talk to any doctor. Talk to any doctor that you find. Your primary health care doctor, your friend, talk to someone.
Yeah.
As long as you have disclosed what you're feeling to someone, I think that is the first step of getting help. If you talk to your primary doctor, the doctor will diagnose, or then will know where to refer.
Okay.
But help is there.
Yeah.
Depression is treatable. It's one of those illnesses, mental illnesses, that respond to treatment.
Yeah.
Treatment is either with medicine, what you call psychopharmacology, or psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And it's one of the illnesses that respond. However, if you don't treat it, because of the way you think or respond to situations, depression can go on its own without treatment, but it will keep recurring.
Okay. Yeah.
You just need to seek help, understand where it comes from, and be able to
deal with
prevent it in the future.
All right. Well,
For me, I want to wrap with
yes, this will
wrap
be your
with two
parting
things.
shot. Yeah.
Number one, I think as men, because the doctor has talked about now that we feel the symptoms, we need to seek professional advice. But I think as men, we need to get prepared. We need to get prepared, and not because when they say we get prepared, we just buy clothes for the kid and buy a bed. That's not being prepared.
Peter.
Be prepared of what you are going to face. The nightless, sleepless nights.
How do you prepare for
But you see,
that?
no one will tell you that if you haven't
How do you
experienced
prepare for
it.
that?
So,
I want to know that.
so you need to be prepared for the sleepless nights. You need to be prepared for some loneliness. You need to be prepared for an intruder. By the way, this child.
It's not an intruder.
No.
An intruder
No.
comes and goes. The child is there for life.
Okay, a permanent intruder, because this child has come in, and then you know the child. When the child comes in, other people will come in the house. So you need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. We need to talk to people who have children. Okay, friends, and you see the problem with us men is when we talk, we are talking money and politics and women.
But these
And
friends,
football.
these friends advise you on so many
Other
business
things.
things.
But so we need to talk about child being fathers and how best we can manage the conditions associated to being fathers, and because of that, I also think that, and this is a very strong policy recommendation for people in health, that we need to redesign the health package so that part of the education we give to
Involves men, yeah.
includes men, so that the men are also educated about this one.
You know what's funny is that most
Your
of the time when you
parting
go, let me just rebut with something.
Yeah, with
Say-
your parting shot.
says,
Yes, your parting
you know, as in when I was going with her to the hospital, I remember that most men were at the reception area.
Smart men.
Well,
Now
most
look at
men-
you.
They don't want to be traumatized.
but my parting shot would be it's to do with our thinking. One of the things that ails men is the way we've been brought up. You know, you
Yes.
kept referencing that you need to be a man. You know, the issue about depression, for example, it's called what?
Postpartum.
Postpartum.
Postpartum depression.
postpartum.
You know, when you tell someone that you're going through this, they will laugh it off. You know, Stefan, Jalu, you need to be a man. But this is real. Depression is real.
Yes.
And you know, the good thing about this is that he's saying there are avenues. There are avenues where you can go and get treatment. So the number one thing that we need to deal with is our patriarchal thinking. Depression is real. And if we know how to handle this, you know, we can handle babies differently.
Two things quickly, because you interrupted me. One is that you need social support also.
Yes, that's true.
Social support from friends, from relatives, those relatives who come to fill your house. You need to ask them questions of how to manage, how you can manage this.
Tell them to bring-
Did it involve
Yes,
money?
yes. But also, most importantly, you have to accept that change has occurred and you're going to live with it until you die. So you have to adjust and accommodate and learn.
All right, great stuff. Now we're here at Inspire Africa Coffee, and we've been talking about paternal postpartum depression. If you're out there and you are going through a couple of challenges, as the good Dr. Hilary has said, seek help. One of the reasons why a lot of people get hit by depression is not nobody, but a lot of people are not keen on seeking help. Seek help because you know nobody knows you better than you know yourself. And with those few words, have a good night, God bless, and we will see you next week.
Now I feel normal. I feel like I'm a normal man.